How you doing?
Good.
I guess to get it started, your thoughts on Arizona State and their offense, please.
Very, very good. Probably the strength of their team. Got a very good receiving core. A solid offensive line. Quarterback played well in the last game. Has been a 3-year starter for him, so it's got leadership. So it'll be a big challenge for us.
Their receivers obviously are some talented guys. The Harry kid. I mean, how would you like to approach him? Is he a guy that you can single cover, or you got to bracket him a little bit?
I think you got to do a little bit of both. Very, very talented. Can run. Does a good job of, I like to call it playing basketball, using his body, with guys, and got great hands and very aggressive. And had a big game last week.
They got another big guy too. I mean, is that a challenge when you have multiple 6'4" guys? I mean, how do you face that?
Yeah, it was a little bit different. And last week we had a lot of kind of short guys. This week we got the giants a little bit, and they played, like you said, they got a lot of them. They played 6 guys last week, and it causes some problems with you. But again, we got to do what we do, work on fundamentals and technique, and challenge them also too.
Do you think Harry will be the best receiver you'll see all season?
Hard for me to say that. I don't want to, I think he's very good. I think he's very talented. For everyone, I have no idea.
What was your reaction to that play where he pretty much went across the field and pretty much left every defender behind him?
Very, very impressive. Again, but he's been a big play guy for them for a while, and you kind of expect that of him, but again, very, very talented, young man.
You guys went essentially Justin and Josh for much of the game, I
yeah.
guess. What did you see from that combo that allowed you to stick with them for that long? And can you do that with the heat and everything that's out there?
Yeah, I think we'll probably have to play more guys. Last week was kind of hard with how fast, they were going. And you talk about, 8, 7, sometimes, 9 seconds in between plays, just hard to rotate guys, at that time. But we'll play more guys. Trey Pearson will play for us this week. Shaq will play for us this week. Xavier will play for us this week also too. So we'll rotate some guys in there.
I know you prepared for that tempo and that speed. Was it even faster on game day than you'd prepared for? Because they've prepared for Indiana in the past that it was ultra fast, but did they take it up even another notch? Was the ball getting set even quicker?
Again, I wasn't here for Indiana, but talking with Mike, talking to Coach Antonio, that was probably as fast as that I think we have seen. I mean, usually you're talking about 12 seconds. I mean, sometimes you're talking about 8 seconds, you're talking about 9 seconds in between. And, you try to practice, it's like practicing the option, when you're playing Navy and Army. You can try to simulate it as much as you can, but once you get in that speed, and they did it very, very well.
Does it,
it's tough, it's difficult.
Does it vary a little bit also on how quickly the officials are setting the ball? That can change from game to game too?
Yeah, and again, when I think the officiating, they know that they're going to try to speed it up. They're going to go fast paced. The one thing about them is a little bit different. I mean, their receivers were running back just as fast to get lined up as they were running, the route, so they wasn't subbing, also too. So their guys had to be in great shape, also too. So that was a difference of just the speed of, you're talking about 7, 8, 9 seconds. That's fast.
How do you feel about not underneath stuff last week? You have to be happy. No real big plays. Anytime they took a deep shot, seemed like you guys were in position.
We were worried, going into that game. Almost, everything's kind of hindsight, after the game is you stress so much of the deep ball because we thought that they would throw it a little bit, more times deep. So we gave up some underneath, stuff. But our guys did play well on what we, stressed for them to do as a deep ball, is making sure that we take care and don't give up a bunch of explosive plays.
How did you feel about Josh's individual performance in that game, getting the start?
I thought he played well. Again, there's always things that you got to improve on, fundamentals and technique-wise. But again, for the things that we asked him to do, I thought he played pretty well.
Justin obviously had that one little back and forth with their top receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, do you try? I mean, he's an aggressive cornerback.
Yeah.
Do you have to dial him back a little bit, or do you say go get him like that?
You want him to be aggressive, but you got to keep a cool head, in situations like that, and can't get penalties, You know, I mean, that drawing back and forth is going to happen between, you know, DBs and wide receivers, but you can't get it to a point where you get a penalty.
He has obviously a unique size for that position.
Yeah.
How does that affect what you can do maybe against a guy like Harry?
Again, anytime that you got a big, you know, 6'1", 6'2", long arms that can run like him, there's a lot of things, you know, that you can do with him. But again, you know, you go from 1 week, you know, first week to second week, there's a lot of things that he has to improve on, you know, also too, that we sit there and we just continue to work on the fundamentals and technique. But, you know, Justin's talented, but again, we expect a lot out of him also too. So there are certain things we don't expect him to give up, you know, also too. So we put some pressure on him.
Paul, after week 1, what were you most impressed with your team, and what, quite frankly, did you think, okay, this has got to get better the most?
You know, the first game is always, you know, a tough one. Again, you know, Utah State played a great game, you know, offensively and defensively and special teams wise. You know, but again, we talked all off seasons about our fourth quarter wins. And Coach D is putting a stress on it that, you know, you got to make sure that, you know, when the game's on the line, you got to pull it out. And, you know, it shows the fight in our guys. You know, regardless of who your opponent is, we know we're going to get the best, you know, out of everybody that we play.
But back to my question, what were you most impressed with and what were you most concerned about?
Again, the fight of our kids. Okay. I mean, I think that was the most thing that I was impressed, you know, again, being new and seeing there was no panic, you know, ever on the sideline with our guys. You know, again, we didn't give a lot of explosive plays, but again, situations, red zone, we got to get better in. Third down, we got to get better at.
Okay, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
You're on kick coverage or kick coverage.
Yeah, I got kickoff.
So you didn't have much to cover because
no.
of Cole. I mean, I guess, you know, what did you see out of him? And I mean, that's pretty much how you dial it up, right?
Yeah, and it was funny because we were going. I mean, we kind of made that decision really on Friday, you know, on going with Cole, because it's been a battle, you know, all off-season camp and all summer. And shoot, I mean, we were kicking on Tuesday and Wednesday, and Coach D had them over there, you know, kicking off against each other almost every single day. So, but when you can get 6 touchbacks out of 8 kicks, you know, gives your guys a chance. Plus, we always talk about our hang time. He did a really good job with his hang time, and our guys did a good job covering.
It seemed like Kari got picked on a couple of plays that first drive and then came back, he had the pick, and then there were 2 pretty big pass breakups. Yeah. Did you see him adjust as the game went on? Yeah,
I think, again, and when you look at that first play, again, there was a couple other mistakes by some other guys also too. You know, but he did bounce back and had a great game, you know, for us. But Carr is that type of player. He puts a lot of preparation into the week.
It seems like the safety in this defense always kind of gets the guy that gets picked on because the corners have lockdown. I mean, is that just what teams have to do? Just find a spot to throw at with your D?
I think just offense in general now, you see more spread, you know, more 4 wides. But even when they're using the tight end, they got, you know, kind of receiver tight ends that they're using. So you really got 4 wides, you know, in the game. And our safety's got to be able to cover. You know, Coach D says that all the time, that our guys got to be able to cover. And those are the type of guys that we recruit. So I think teams, again, will attack us however, again, but we you know that they're a quarter team, so our safeties we leave out on the island some of the time.
What does having a guy like practicing against Felton Davis, how does that help you guys prepare for like a guy like Henry?
Again, we got a great receiving core. We do a lot of things, you know, against each other. You know, we just don't do, you know, 1s versus 2s or scout team. We actually get together and kind of service ourselves. So going up against those guys every day in one-on-one, again, just going to help you better. We sit there and we talk about it all the time. It's up to us to make them better and them to make us better.
Who simulates him this week for you guys in practice?
We've had a slew of guys. We've got a lot of number 1s out there.
Xavier's on that kickoff team you were talking about. What is it that got him that role, and what does he need to do to get some defensive snaps coming up here?
You know what, again, just the style of offense that they ran last week, it was just hard to get other guys in the game. So, you know, he'll play for us. He deserves to play, you know, for us on defense. You know, again, he came here early, so he got to learn the system. He got to go through winter conditioning, got to go through fall camp. So he's ahead, you know, of some of the other freshmen, him and Gervin. You know, and again, so he'll play. He'll play for us this week. He's done a great job preparation. He's done a great job, you know, in just his off season. So he'll play for us.
Curvin, a guy you'd like to get into?
We'll see. You know, the safety position is a little bit shorter for us than the corner position. So we'll try to see what we'll do with Gerv, but he's up there with us. He's getting reps. So if we have to put him in, we will. But we'll try to save him as much as possible.
With a late start, have you ever coached or played in a game that ends at 2 in the morning like this one probably will? And how do you guys approach that?
Yeah, I think again, you know, we'll go out there. You know, I'm not a doctor and all that type of deal on how your body changes, but they talk about 9 hours of sleep and you should be adjusted. So we'll make sure our guys get that. You know, we talk about our guys staying up a little bit later, you know, during the week, which is opposite of what you always try to tell your guys to do, to go to sleep, but tell them to stay up a little bit later because the game's going to be a little bit later. But I've played in games like this. I mean, our guys, once you get out there and the adrenaline starts going, you know, they don't really know what time it is. You know, they sit there and they go and they just play football.
Did Person or Brown play defense last week? I can't remember.
No, they didn't play defense.
Xavier
they played special teams.
Yeah, I know. I remember seeing just Xavier on special teams, but I couldn't remember. Okay.
Yes, both Shaq and Trey played on special teams last week.
That bye week comes a nice time to readjust coming back too.
Yeah. So it's not like you got to go play a game, you know, that next week. I've been in those situations. Again, you know, coming from the MAC, when we played all those midweek games and getting back, we played Western, you know, at 8 o'clock at night, and you know, we're on buses, we're not on planes. So you get back at 6 o'clock in the morning, then you got to go prepare. And some of the times you played 5 days, you know, later, or 6 days later. So you had to give them a day off, and then you only had 4 days to prepare. So it was a breeze for me. We got time.
Speaking of that adjustment from MAC back to the major Power 5 school, how are you enjoying all the perks of being back at the Power 5?
You know what? It's exciting. It's fun. The atmosphere, you know, on game day was unbelievable. That was so much fun. You know, and you go home and you talk to your family, you know, and my wife and my kids, and my son's here, you know, who's in school here. So for him to be able to sit in the student section and be able to enjoy that, it was awesome.
Which special teams are Trey and Shakur on?
Shakur was on kickoff. He was also on Rangers, which is our punt return, and Trey was on kickoff and also punt and punt return.
Thanks, Paul.
Yep. Thank you.